Okay, I messed that up, but you know me, I usually do mess up the techie stuff, and all of our IT guys are on break this weekend, enjoying the 4th with their family. Okay, Ken Crow here from Create Change Now. And I just thought I'd drop by today, and yeah, you can tell I'm scruffy, and well, it's a holiday weekend. And thought I'd stop by and deliver a couple of messages to you. First thing we want to do is thank the president. So, with that said, hats off, Mr. President. Thank you so much for allowing us to celebrate Independence Day in this country. I'm thoroughly looking forward to my hot dog, and I don't know about the mask so much, but I am looking forward to my hot dog. And I thank you for allowing us to grill hot dogs with family today. We're doing better this year, thanks to you, than we were last year. Remember, it was Governor Whitmer who said, you can't go out on the lake in a boat with your family. It's just too dangerous. Well, I'm supposing many did anyway. But at any rate, we thank you, Joe Biden. I am grateful. And we want to remember why we celebrate this day. We celebrate this day because a very small group of very brave individuals decided to go to battle and win our freedom and liberty from a tyrannical king. And they did it. They did it. I often am amazed at the level of courage that must have taken. But coming out of that was a gentleman that was so revered for his heroics and his leadership that they made him president of the United States. And he went on to live until 1799, where he passed away at his beloved Mount Vernon estate, just south. It's about 15 miles south of the Washington Monument. And I bring this up because there's a really cool story that I think everybody should know. I'm going to tell you how revered this guy was. George Washington was so revered that even upon his death, people still respected this man at a level that's just unheard of. If you go to Mount Vernon, you go through the main house that you've all seen a million times, photographs if you've never been there, and you go out the door and you'll go down a little hill. There's a little hill that goes down probably 100 yards, and you go down this path and you turn right, and there is a little brick building that holds the sarcophagus of President Washington and his wife Martha. And 2 or 3 times during the good months, the warm months, they'll hold wreath laying ceremonies. And believe it or not, you can contact Mount Vernon and actually be given permission to place one of these wreaths between the sarcophagus. At any rate, it's been there since I want to say it was 1831 when they built that particular one. The coffins had been held in another building down and around the corner, but they built a nicer building, and it's got wrought iron gates on the front of it. But you can actually walk up and touch this thing a lot of the times and pay your respects and say a prayer if you'd like to. Well, as you well know, if you've studied American history, the war was raging between the states, and Robert E. Lee had taken his troops and literally was on the doorsteps of Washington, D.C. I mean, within just a couple of miles of Washington, D.C. And the Union armies were battling fiercely to retain the Capitol and the White House and everything. And there was an interesting thing that happened because the war raged all around Mount Vernon. And I learned this story. It's on the internet. You can read about it. And I asked one of the curators at the estate when I visited there, I said, they had a war all around here. How come Mount Vernon was still standing? Why How did it not get blown up? Because everything else got blown up across the street and down the way. Well, this was an 8,000 acre estate. And the generals for the Union Army and the Southern Army, the Confederate Army, had gotten together and agreed that they would redirect their cannon fire away from Mount Vernon. That's how revered this man was. Well, it went one step further. Anytime any soldiers went by the estate, they would lay their coats down if it was warm, or they would turn them inside out. They would lay their arms down just to go in and pay their respects to this man in his grave. That's where they all went to. They all went, the Union and the Confederate soldiers. And while they were on the property, they were Americans again. There was no fighting. There was no animosity. They were there to pay their respects to the man that gave us our nation. Now, keep in mind, George Washington went up against the mightiest military on earth with about 25,000 very green, very inexperienced, and basically farmers, horseshoers, metal workers. You know, these people had no experience in warfare whatsoever. And yet this man pulled off miraculous victory after miraculous victory. And there's many times in George Washington's diaries that he gives the credit to winning the battle to the divine creator, as he called it, but to God. This nation was ordained and blessed by God. George Washington himself said that repeatedly, as did John Adams and many others. But if you ever have a chance, you really need to go by Mount Vernon and hear the stories, and so you too can tell the story. In this age of wokeness and critical race theory, and I'm not going to get off into a bunch of political crap today, but our kids are not being taught this. And as for slavery, here's you another little known fact. George Washington released all his slaves upon his death. I think there was 123 of them that were granted their freedom in his will. It's in his will. And they were given their freedom. That's what George Washington thought of slavery. But at the time, that was the way things were. It wasn't that he was abusive. It wasn't that he wanted to own people and dominate. No. He had a lot of land to work. The slaves were taken care of. They had good housing. They were well fed. No, it was not right, but it's the way things were in 1776, okay? Lots happened since then. So with that said, I'm going to say this. Pay your respects to George Washington. Pay your respects to all of our ancestors that gave so much to give us this day that we celebrate and get to eat our hot dogs, according to Joe Biden. And for that, we're grateful. By the way, Joe, if you stop by my house tomorrow, we're not having hot dogs. Well, there may be a few on the grill. I'm doing a Texas brisket. So if anybody wants to stop by for homemade potato salad and Texas brisket, by all means, I'm here. Be safe tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Don't be stupid and hold fireworks in your hand and blow your hand up. Do not go out on the lake without a life preserver in the boat or on your body. Just be safe and think tomorrow. Don't get hurt, and don't hurt your loved ones. And with that said, if you would, on YouTube, be kind and click the thumbs up button. We'd appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button. It's a new channel, and we're trying to grow. So you guys take care. God bless. Hats off again to everyone. And we love you, Patriots, and thanks for all you do. And stop by createchangenow.org. Join up, because we're starting a huge movement. We're going to need all your help, just like George did in 1776. And that's the neighbor mowing the grass, and I apologize for that. Take care. God bless. We'll see you. Bye-bye.